So before I get into this video, I'm going to answer another question which I get asked all the time, which is, should I send them a happy birthday message? And the answer, if you're asking me that question, is no. Don't send the happy birthday message. If you're in post-breakup, post-separation, in some kind of no contact situation, their birthday is not a legitimate reason to break no contact. And the reason why is because if you're asking the question, then it's not coming from inspired action. It doesn't feel natural. You have to think about it a lot. So it's being kind of forced and manipulated. And the second reason is that it just reopens the wound, and you can be really disappointed with their response because they might say something like, thanks. And then you're going to be like, oh, I really wanted, what I actually wanted was not just to wish them happy birthday, but to get something from them. Isn't it? That's the truth. You're using the birthday as an opportunity to try to get reconnection, and sometimes they're not ready. And especially if you're doing the bid for connection when you were the one trying to fix the relationship and wanting the relationship to work in the first place, you are not giving them the opportunity to do that work with you. Okay? So this is going to lead into the next point, which is, if you're in a no contact situation, I know how hard it is. I really know. I've lived it. I understand that you will get many waves of urgency or real, a validating thought that you think in your head of like, yes, this makes sense. I should definitely send this long message that I've written out about 10 times and have saved in my notes and have read to 3 friends to see what they think. And some of them have said I should, and some of them have said I shouldn't, and I don't know what to do. Thing is, my rule is that if you are thinking about it too much, the answer is no. If you're really thinking about it that much, you shouldn't do it right now. I shouldn't say shouldn't, because there's no shoulds and shouldn'ts. This is just my opinion. And the fact is that even if you do message them, it's not the end of the world, but it's to your benefit, and I think their benefit as well, especially if they were avoidant, particularly if they were avoidant, they were avoiding the work, they were the one who couldn't be in the relationship for whatever reason they presented, they were the one who pulled away, they were the one who wasn't repairing arguments with you in the relationship, and you were the one wanting it to work in a mature, emotionally present way, and they weren't, then by messaging them before it's time, you've taken away their opportunity to do the work. They haven't done it. If they haven't reached out to you, they haven't done the work. They haven't reflected on themselves. They haven't taken responsibility yet. And if you go towards them when it's too soon, then you're opening your heart up to be hurt once again. Yeah, that's why the birthday situation, Christmas and holidays, I know they're so triggering because you want to connect to someone on those special days, and you want to still be an important person in their life to say happy birthday. But you're not just a friend, and saying happy birthday probably isn't the only thing you want. Like I said, I'm only using happy birthday because people use it all the time as a reason or an excuse to reach out. So look, especially those 3 to 6 months and even a year after a breakup or a separation, it's a really vulnerable time to reach out, for you to be the one reaching out, especially if you were the fixer and you were doing all of the negotiating and the trying to make it work and explaining and, putting your heart on the line. If you were the anxious one, you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable situation to reach out when it's too soon. As I've said before, the general rule is if you have to think about it too much, don't. But if you're in this situation where it's a lot of time has passed and you're like, I don't care. I just don't care. I don't care what their answer is. I'm doing it for me. It's different. And you don't care what their response is, then it's slightly different. So there's really one situation, and only one situation, where I have said in the past to people, and it's so individual, right? So it's always based on the individual. But there are sometimes situations where I think, okay, if you're doing this for you, to know that you have said everything that you needed to say. You're closing the door with yourself so that you can know I've reflected on my part, my responsibility, and there are things that I didn't say that if I don't say, I feel like I'm going to regret it. And you don't mind what their response is because realistically they're probably not ready or capable right now to respond in any other way, then that it's okay for you to say what you needed to say. And I don't mean write like an essay this long, which is what I've done before. Don't recommend. Avoidance, they don't respond well to that sort of thing. If you're doing it for you, it's different. Okay, if you're doing it so that you can have the idea and the knowing that, okay, I've said absolutely everything that I needed to say, and you know that even the message might push them away even more, but you don't care because you're doing it for you, then that's fine. But you have to know that it might push them away even more at this time. Okay, so I've seen some beautifully written messages that were short, that were to the point, that were taking full responsibility, that weren't blaming. You just have to avoid all blame and criticism in these messages if you're going to do this. But I've seen some beautifully written emails where I thought that actually makes sense. And it basically, what you don't want to do is say things like, I'm here whenever you're ready. Because that leaves you so vulnerable. You don't want to say anything like that. One of the things that I'm really good at, by the way, is helping people form messages. I'm really good at writing these text messages. I think I'm as good as ChatGPT. Actually, ChatGPT is really good at helping write messages and stuff. I don't know if you've ever tried it, but if you don't know what to say to someone, talk to ChatGPT about it, or me. But the thing is that you have to really listen to your intuition. If it's coming from a place of need, if it's coming from a place of trying to get something, because often, remember, if you've identified yourself as a people pleaser or the nice guy or the nice girl, then often we think that that's our personality and that's who we are, but it's not. It's a coping mechanism to try and get needs met, right? And often it's not the selfless thing that the world has made it out to be, because it is in fact a manipulation to try to get something out of someone else. And when you can start to identify, shit, I'm doing that thing again where I'm actually trying to get something by being nice. I've seen the most lovely messages written to someone and thought, no, don't send that. That is like, nice guy central. You're just absolutely inevitably going to get hurt. But when it's like clear, when it's boundaried, when it's not trying to get anything, when it's not too long, sometimes it's different. And you might be thinking, oh, I'm not getting any clarity over this. But essentially, I hope the main focus is that if it's too soon, don't do it. You need time, and this person needs time to grow, to heal. You have to respect yourself. The main thing is, do not reach out to this person unless you want to open yourself up to possible hurt and wounding again, unless you want to repeat the same cycle where this person shows up with the level of capacity that they have, but not the full picture, the full investment that you need. You need to see from this person, especially if they were avoidant, that they've done the work, they've taken responsibility, that they're willing to come in and show you what they've learnt in their time apart. Also, if you reach out too soon, then you're not breaking your own pattern. And the reason why it's so hard is because you've lived this way with this coping strategy for so long. And when you don't do that, when you don't do the chasing, your whole system goes, whoa, what's going on? Why do I feel so awful? And you feel a bit weird and you feel a bit lost and you don't know what to do with yourself. And your only answer is reach out to them, panic, and that's what you're overcoming. That's why it's hard. Breaking patterns and changing neural pathways and becoming secure, it takes time. And this bit, particularly at the beginning or, 6 months into a breakup, it's hard. Yeah. And so it makes sense that you have these urges too. But every time you overcome one of those urges, you're closer to your secure self. And you're closer to the relationship that you actually want. You're closer to the truth and the authenticity in a relationship that you really want. So really don't rush into anything. So far in this video, we have thought of one reason why sometimes it's okay to break no contact. And that is if you've reflected, if you've learned something about yourself, if you want to take full responsibility for your part and you want to say these things to this person in a short and concise way that gives you closure, that you know you have said and done everything that you can at this point in this relationship, then sometimes I think that is okay. Okay. The other thing, of course, is if you've got kids with this person or a business, then you have to communicate with this person. And what you have to do is just keep it all about that thing, or keep it about the kids. Do not put any emotion or information about you into the conversation. It's got to just be bare minimum. I know this can be really hard because, you know, even talking to this person can feel like it will take longer for you to move on and for them to feel like you're not there. But essentially, you've just got to take all of the chasing and all of the emotion out of the communication, okay? So the other reason why I think very rarely, but sometimes it's okay for you to reach out to someone is, okay, there was one client that I had a couple of years ago, and I remember she was saying that she'd been in no contact for like 3 years or 4 years or something, and she was still sort of longing and missing this person. I thought, oh my God, just message him, because she was in an idea, sitting on potential. And sometimes I think the best thing to do is just have a reality check, like actually just check in. If it's been years and you're still thinking, I'm in no contact, I'm waiting, that's no way to live. Just break the bubble and just say something and just see where this person is at, because then you're going to get a real, actual reality check. Now, the risk of doing this is your self-respect and your self-esteem if this person doesn't say what you want them to say, if they're not interested. But at the same time, sometimes that massive disappointment can actually help you move on. Unfortunately, sometimes we need a really big wake-up call in order to actually decide to put ourselves first. So sometimes in the situation where it's been years, so much water has gone under the bridge, and yet you're still holding on, which is a really tragic situation to be in. But I know so many people have been in this situation, even me years ago. Sometimes you have to just break the bubble and just get a reality check to see where this person is at. And it can be really disappointing, or you can open yourself up to potential hurt again because they haven't done the work and they haven't come towards you. So it's your choice. At the end of the day, you've got to listen to yourself, and you've got to put self-respect and self-love before everything, right? So I think essentially what I'm saying is don't reach out. If they haven't contacted you and they were the avoidant one and they were the one who was running away and they were the one who wasn't making the relationship work, if they haven't contacted you, it says a lot about where they're still at, and it says a lot about the potential of the relationship right now. So with that information alone, you've got a lot of information about whether or not it would be a wise decision for your heart if you were to reach out. This person who was running, who was avoidant, has to do the work for the relationship to ever be any different. And honestly, when they have, they will either contact you and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I've realized all these things, or they won't. And if they don't, you don't want them anyway. You don't want them because they weren't motivated by their own, guilt, their own fear to contact you. They weren't scared of losing you. So therefore, do you want to be with someone who's not afraid to lose you? Do you want to be with someone who doesn't have that level of respect for you? I know these are hard questions to answer, but they can sometimes really empower you to realize that you deserve someone who contacts you every day. Every day. Not just someone who's gone off because they didn't have the capacity to meet you where you are, and who hasn't self-reflected or taken responsibility, So in summary, the only real reasons why it can be really okay are you've reflected, you want to create closure for yourself, you've got something to say that you really want to know for yourself, you tried everything, you've said everything you could say, you've taken responsibility for your part, you weren't expecting anything in return from this message, you just had to say it. That's sometimes okay. The other reason is if you've got kids or you've got a business and you just have to have bare minimum conversations with no emotion involved, you still have to let them do the emotional work to make the relationship come towards you. Or it's been years and you're still pining and wondering and waiting for this person, you need a reality check. So sometimes I think it's actually okay to break the bubble and face the fear of rejection, because that's what that is. You know, that's facing the fear of rejection, which is what we need to do sometimes in order to heal. But the bottom line is, like I say, you deserve someone who wants to be with you where you are and work equally on the relationship with you. And if they were the one that left and they were the one that wasn't ready, then they need to come towards you. You need to let them do it. You need to let them miss you. You need to let them realize what they've lost. You need to heal. You need to grow. You need to let go of the idea that you have to do anything now. Okay? Sit back, rest. It's okay. And if you're thinking about it too much, don't do it. And don't send them a happy birthday message or Christmas or Easter or Valentine's Day or anything. Okay? If you'd like any support or you'd like to ask me any specific questions, you'd like me to read over a message that you want to write, you'd like my honest opinion, and by the way, I'm very honest with these things. You know, if someone shows me a message and I hear about the situation, I will always say a very honest yes or no, and I'm very brutally honest. So if I say yes, then it makes sense. And if I say no, then I really mean, no, absolutely not, please don't do that. And honestly, I get all sorts of situations. So if you'd like any help or support, let me know. And really, it's difficult for me to answer in the comments because I need to talk to you properly about the situation, about the dynamic, for me to really give a proper answer. And if you'd like to come onto the Conscious Creators Masters Academy, where you can really have that safe space, where you can have that accountability, where you can be with people in a similar situation to you, then we start on the 21st of February and there are 3 spaces left. And I've got my Valentine's special, which is on the 12th of February, which is a 2-hour workshop where you can ask me lots of questions there as well. So if you'd like any more information about these things, you can find out in the links below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.